Welcome everyone, today I have a special Diablo 4 review and also thoughts video. Now I'll be planning to make more videos like this one, and this video is branch off of the latest Diablo 4 patch that will be coming with 1.11. So in this video, we'll very briefly talk about what is happening and the changes of the monster density and also other changes. But what I want to focus on this video is, I want to look into the community information and also recommendation and also suggestions of what can make Diablo 4 a better game. Because there's a lot of things in the game that can be improved, and if we look into those guys, we can make the game much better. I'm not saying those recommendations must be implemented, but those are very good starting points. So this video will be broken down into several parts. Make sure you guys use the timestamps below, and let's get into the video. Now, firstly, we have the unofficial patch notes from Worldhead. So this is a summary of the latest campfire livestream from the developers. I'm sure you guys have had a look of it. If you haven't, I have the links available for you guys. Each of the class got some really good buffs, especially the barbarians and also the sorcerers. Other classes, there are some interesting parts. The barbarian seems to be able to use more rend and also bleeding, which they really want to make that build into a meta. There's also a few changes to the unique items and also one change to the malignant heart. Temerity will be quite interesting if you're going with high HP now with a special build. And one of the biggest changes they were highlighting is the increase of monster density in Diablo 4. I had no idea why they nerfed this one, but notice that the density is said it can be increased up to 60% of monster density. And this can be really good, because if you're using certain gems like the Barber gem or any of the abilities that trigger with multiple monsters like Corpse Explosion, you can be doing way much more damage. And it is more fun to kill a horde of monsters. It's more satisfying for the players. And on the topic of satisfying, let's come over to the second part. Because I'm sure you guys had a look at the notes, and if you haven't, make sure you have a look over here to see what buffs are for your class. Those are quite, I wouldn't say they're major, I wouldn't say they're minimum, but those are quite nice. It's a good starting point. So coming over to some of the community recommendations and also what I think is really important for Diablo 4. Now the first thing right away, you can see this Reddit post. This is Smile Match Dash, and I think most of us have been looking for this one. This is that looking for a search and also a filtering system for the stash. Right now the stash is horrendous. You only have 4 stash inventory. You got to make auto accounts for additional stash inventory. It's hard to filter items, and it's not well designed for the stash. And you can see a lot of parts are talking about the stash. I'm spending about 20 to 30 minutes a day filtering out my stash if I don't filter out after I kill monsters. So if I just dump my items into the stash, after a while I have to come back here and I have to go through my stash. Not only do I have to go through my stash, I also have to go through my alt characters to filter through the legendaries and also rares, which is really annoying. And of course guys, this is an ongoing thing. The developers need to improve this one for the quality of life. Now the second thing I want to share with you guys is quite interesting. So what we're going to have a look is, we're going to have a look at fan-made Alkaizer's patch notes for patch 1.10. But I do think this one can be for 1.11 as well. There's some very interesting ideas. My friend recently shared this one with me, and I really want to share this with you guys, because those are what the developers need to look into. Sometimes I feel that the developers are not playing the game as intensely as we do. I play the game like 10 and 12 hours a day, and most of us don't do that, right? But for the hardcore players, for players who want to dive into the game, for the players who actually took time off work, we really want to look for something more into the game. The first thing was kind of revealed in the latest patch notes to increase monster density. And here there is the intermission room with the nightmare dungeons. If you guys know, sometimes there's an intermediate room with nightmare dungeons and it provides no experience. It's a waste of time. You have to go through that before you get to the next part. It's quite important. It's quite interesting to see the recommendation is to have a window over here. Now the other buffs are related to the nightmare dungeons, which is about interacting with objectives and also, getting less negative affixes from the nightmare dungeons, which can be really annoying. Now the Shires now provide with more monsters, the Cursed Shires, and also spawns them faster, which can be really good recommendation. And what I really want to highlight is the unique item we're farming. I'm currently still farming for my unique two-hand staff. And I just want to show you guys, I have farmed over close to half an entire stash trap of unique items in the past few hours. I want to show you guys how to do this, but I haven't got my two-handed unique staff. So having a specific way of farming your unique items can be really good in the Helltide. We used to have that, but now we're not really getting that way. Now here we can see some recommendations of increasing the better FXs with unique items. And this was kinda addressed over here with the changes with Terminity and also some other unique items. And let's keep going over the recommendations, some really good ones. Increase the drop rate of Uber unique items. I think this is really good. None of us are really seeing Uber unique in the season 1, and it's nice to have 1 or 2 of those items at the start of the season, just to play the game to get more out of it. Now the topic about finding a search bar is really good for the stash, of course, and here to be dashing around with the mount, lower cooldowns with the mount is really good. I mean, the mount is really clunky, and in the town sometimes you actually run slower with the mount compared to your character because you can't dash. The world boss will provide a unique aspects and also unique item only they can drop. At the moment, the world boss is like so-so to me. Once you get enough, socketing materials, you're not really going for a bath ride. And Lilith can provide special items that she can only drop. Those are really recommendations. So World Boss and Uber Boss have a chance to drop items allows you to reroll 1 affects on the unique. Oh, this is interesting. So the recommendation here is that if you can reroll affects on the unique, this makes things way more interesting and also more creative for unique builds. Because sometimes unique items have stats that you don't need, like poison resistance most of the time. I was like, it's good, but it's not superb, right? And over here you can see the recommendation of giving Barbarians some buffs and also Sorcerers some buffs, and that was addressed, of course. And here again, some rework with a Paragon board. I think this is a really good recommendation, that getting 10 more different Paragon boards that they are drop only. So you are farming for Paragon board that can be rotated, can be used for your build. Now, of course, on the topic of farming for Paragon board, I do want to come over to this post about the difficulty of changing a new build. When you plan the new build in Diablo 4, it will take you a lot of gold to respec, and you have to respec the Paragons 1 point at a time. I'm currently going for this legendary spec, and if I want to try a different build, like the Bulwark build, I have to unrespec every point slowly by myself, and this will take close to half hour or maybe 1 hour to be perking and also respecting. Hopefully we can set defaults and also presets for the Paragon board, and this can be way better than doing this like respecting. And players have to spend lots of gold, lots of time, lots of effort to be farming for those items, imprinting items, and the changing of a build for Diablo 4 currently is very, very difficult. It's as if the developer says if you go into a build in Endgame, you better stay in that way for a few days before you try a different build. And I do think this is limiting the creativity of the players and also limiting that, trying out new build and also trying different ways of playing the game. Now over here, we have a really good post from I have the script over here, and this is what I feel like I was missing, because when I play, games like Diablo back in Diablo 3 and also games like Path of Exile, I was looking for this dopamine rush as well. That moment when you play the game, a really, really rare item drops, you're like, yes, and that feels really good. It's like you've been farming for days and you finally got it. But most of the time with Diablo in the endgame, I'm getting 1 or 2 legendaries, 1 or 2 uniques, unless it's the unique I'm looking for, which I'm still not getting it right. So notice I'm still looking for the unique over here. Other than that unique, most of the rare items, most of the legendaries, I just look at it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's like a bag full of trash. I have to filter them, I have to sell them, I have to salvage them. So you don't get that moment in action RPG where you feel like, oh my gosh, it's a godly item. You get the dopamine, you get the happiness rush, and you keep playing again because you feel so good in that moment. I think Diablo 4 really need to look into those feel-good moments that players, when you play the game, you're just loving it. Instead of, going back to town, you're like, oh my gosh, gotta go through those items. I wonder if I can sell them. How am I going to sell them? Am I going to sell this card? Do I keep it in my stash because I'm out of stash? And what do I do with my item? So yeah, having the dopamine boost or the feel-good moment when you get those items, and if Diablo 4 can be designed into that way, it's way, way better. Right now, what I'm hoping for is that we actually have less quantity amount of items, but more quality items. Here I'm getting a lot of quantity, but I want more quality of rare items, of legendaries, and also unique items. Now over here, we have another post from Abram over here to talk about what we want to see in potential items. So this is just a recommendation. You can see normally you have the rare items, right? But you can go with angelic or demonic. It doesn't have to go with those names, but you can see those stackable class effects. Notice here they have special effects for the skills. And here the special item actually have a +9 to your skills. Those are some recommendation from the players, but those changes and those potential, things can make the game way more interesting than right now. You are fixed with your FXs, you're just re-rolling with your gold, and everything's the same. If we can get something different, creative for your build, even if that's a little broken, I wouldn't mind. And I do think this is a really good step forward for finding creativity and also special uniqueness in the game. It doesn't have to be uber uniques, just something interesting, make it more fun for the players and also more enjoyable. Something you want to come back in to play your build because you have this super special item for your class or your build. Now finally, this is a recommendation from Zedkek over here. Having a roguelike dungeon for Diablo 4 could be a good idea. I'm not saying it has to be like that, but something else I play in the in-game. Right now I'm just farming for items, pushing for tier 100, killing Lilith. And the season Malignant Heart is pretty straightforward. I don't need to go much into that. Something like roguelike dungeons that you can keep playing with different buffs, with different combinations. Maybe something that's more creative and that's just, getting the players to have something enjoyment, some fun out of it, and doesn't break the balance of the game. And I do think this is also a really good recommendation for Diablo 4 to be coming. Now, in case you guys are wondering where I'm getting lots of those ideas from, there is a Reddit post with Diablo 4 quality of life. There's some really good recommendations from the players, and it's quite nice to look into those if you guys want to see what can be improved for Diablo 4. But of course, hopefully the developers can notice videos like this one, which we actually talk about, and from the perspective of the players who actually play the game, who want to enjoy the game. Because I feel like the game has a really good player base. And if you guys are wondering, yes, we have lost some players since the launch of the game with the hype, but if you look at the player trend, we didn't lose that much players, and most of the player base are retaining, and most of the player base are coming back for Season 1. So if the developers can really look into making the game more fun and also more players friendly, we can actually make a really good game out of Diablo 4, maybe with Season 2, maybe with Season 3. Because at the moment for Season 1, we're running out of things to do. And that's not a good sign in the first week of the new season. So let me know what you think about Diablo 4, guys, and what do you think about the latest patch? I have had lots of friends who actually stopped playing the game for a while because they're not happy with the latest changes. Hopefully with the latest patch and also more changes, more friends will be coming back to the game. And if you guys do have a recommendation and want to share your thoughts, let us know in the comments below, or send me a direct message onto Discord. We can talk about the future of Diablo 4 and what can be added to make the game more fun and also more players friendly. If you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4.